Halo has always been the penultimate FPS in terms of storytelling. Sure, you had some Call of Duties or Battlefields here and there that had a good story, but Halo was always different. It had this nice sci-fi aesthetic along with some unique set pieces, like storming the beach on the Silent Cartographer in Combat Evolved, or landing on Delta Halo in Halo 2, or the multifaceted The Covenant in Halo 3. All of these make up Halo's identity, and in the 20 plus years this franchise has been alive, people have always made the series as a point of comparison to other FPS stories. And finally, after years of waiting, we finally have a new entry in the series, Halo Infinite. I will be splitting this video into two different parts, the campaign and the multiplayer. First, we're going to be talking about the campaign. Just as a fair warning, there will be spoilers, so if you just want to skip to this time in the video to avoid story spoilers, go ahead. The story follows the events of Halo 5, where we find a new Halo ring, Zeta Halo, and are fighting a new enemy, the Banished. Now, who are the Banished? Well, they're essentially the Covenant, just not led by the Prophets. They're led by this brute guy named Atriox. You can learn a little bit more about him if you play Halo Wars 2. As the Master Chief, you are defeated by Atriox, and left afloat in space for about 6 months. Then, a Pelican pilot finds you and helps you get back up on your feet. After blowing up a Banished ship, you find out that Atriox is dead, and now the new leader of the Banished is Escharum. You then land on the new Halo ring and pick up your new AI companion, the Weapon. Seriously, that's her name. You then make your way to the surface, and the world is kind of opened up to you to explore. You can fight the Banished and the new enemy, the Harbinger, who is a Forerunner enemy or something. This is where the game essentially just turns into Far Cry. In this open world, you can capture forward operating bases, or FOBs, which become your fast travel points in this open world. You can take on high value targets and get new guns, and free UNSC squads and get you a little bit more XP. This is probably the lowest point of the story in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, it's very pretty, and 343 did put a lot of work into it, but the tasks just become monotonous after a while. You don't have to do everything in the open world and just go do the main objective, but my RPG brain is wired to do all the side quests. I actually really do like the story missions that they actually do put in. I really do wish that this Halo had more of a linear story structure like the previous Halos and not a Halo Far Cry mix. You will sometimes come across a boss fight in the story, which are just enemies with a little bit more health. But they each have their own unique way of fighting, and the fights can change and are enhanced by the equipment that you use. Yes, essentially armor abilities have come back in the form of equipment, which they help you fight and or get around. The ones of the campaign are the grapple shot, the threat detector, the drop wall, and thrusters. They can all be upgraded and given special properties, like adding a shock element to when you grapple an enemy. Overall, I like the story a lot. The Far Cry elements in the open world are definitely the low points, but the use of equipment in combat and the gunplay is still all very good. This is probably 343's best story in a mainline Halo game, which really isn't saying much. Moving on to multiplayer, this is probably the best Halo multiplayer since 3 in my opinion. Every weapon has a purpose and can be mastered and used effectively. The battle rifle feels very crisp and beefy, the assault rifle is just like an old reliable weapon, and the pistol is still a menace. 343 went back to what made Halo multiplayer fun, a good arena-based shooter, and they pretty much succeeded. Though there have been several issues with crashing, especially on PC, and weird loading in glitches along with a lack of game modes. But it's still pretty fun. They were finally able to find that balance for a really good casual arena shooter while also still having a good base for the competitive players. Though this multiplayer definitely isn't perfect. One negative thing I would say about the multiplayer is the progression system and how long it takes you to upgrade your battle pass and get the items that you want. You have to play several games at a time just to even level up your battle pass one level. And I have put in several hours into this game, and I'm only level 20 something. But it's a good thing that the battle pass seasons never really go away, so you can still get the items when you need to. But I mean, after all that, it's still pretty good. It's still way better than 4 and 5 combined. 343 definitely took their sweet time in getting this game out. but what they have delivered is their best mainline Halo game. Through the weird open world campaign to the arena shooter that people can enjoy, safe to say, Halo is finally back. I give Halo Infinite an 8 out of 10.